Here we are, it's July 2012, and in 5 months, what's going to happen? That's right, the big 2012 question for my own guide groups, they all agree that December 21st, just a date on the calendar. And they also say that while many ancient and revered cultures have absolutely positively written about a great shift and about energy cycles, these writings have often been mistranslated, misinterpreted, and sometimes just plain misused for various reasons. Maybe honest mistakes in the translation, maybe perfect translations were altered on purpose as a means of controlling other people, or maybe for as simple a reason as to sell more movie tickets. You know, but no matter, it does not matter, because the bottom line is this: no ancient culture, and not even our contemporary civilization, can possibly know what's going to happen at the end of this year, what's going to happen next year, or what's going to happen 10 years from now. Nothing is ever set in stone. Now, my guides are quite prolific on the subject of evolution. There's no set ending point, no magical "we're there" vibration. And really, when you think about it, why should there be? Why should there be? And something that my guides have asked me to be very, very clear about today is that because we're all intricately connected, as each one of us increases our personal vibrational level, it affects the rest of us in a positive way too. And they say that together, we've already taken the human race to a new level of being. And we're going to take ourselves to the next level and the next level after that one too. So what can we as light workers, what can we do to facilitate our continued evolution? Well, 3 things come to mind. The first is to be present. The second is to live in the moment. And the third is to watch what we think and say. Now, those 3 phrases, nothing new there, right? You guys have heard these things over and over again. They're not new, and sometimes maybe we've heard them so much that we think, are they really powerful expressions, or are they nothing more than overused New Age slogans? And if so, have they been so overused that they're nothing more than cliches? Well, I know 2 things about cliches. First, a cliche is a phrase that was originally used a lot because it was so striking in its meaning. And second, that a cliche is a phrase that ends up being so well used because everyone who hears it immediately understands what it means. You get the meaning of it right away. Now, knowing this, I have to say that I would not mind in the least if these 3 phrases, which actually contain quite a bit of wisdom and some very good advice in just a few little words, if they become part of our everyday lexicon. So cliche or no, being present, living in the moment, and watching what we think and say, these things are really the heart and soul of my talk today. And that's because they're a very, very big part of living in the here and now. And living in the here and now, guys, living in the here and now is crucial to our spiritual growth, both individually and collectively. And I say this because as we incorporate these 3 things into our lives, we can't help but practice awareness. It's impossible to be present, to be in the moment, and to watch what we're thinking and saying without being fully aware of exactly what it is that we're doing. And when we're aware of what we're doing, we make progress. We expedite our spiritual growth, and that's really what it's all about. So, if we adopt these 3 possibly cliche sayings as part of our spiritual philosophy, and we make them part of our daily routines, we'll be living much more in the here and now. We'll quickly spot our windows of opportunity for learning and growth. We'll cross off items on our spiritual to-do list much faster. And will naturally boost the amount of positive energy that we create, while at the same time diminishing the amount of negative energy that we project out into the world on a daily basis. So, being aware, Being aware has great benefits. No one's going to argue that. But there's another reason that I'm on a living in the here and now crusade of sorts. I am actually pretty riled up on this subject, and here's why. I have noticed a kind of soul sickness among some of our fellow lightworkers, a nasty little virus that I have nicknamed the rapture bug. Now, I'm going to explain what I mean by this in just a minute, but let me first say this. Those of us who have it, we need to treat it immediately. And the rest of us, we need to strengthen our spiritual immune systems so that we don't contract this malicious, soul-sucking bug. Because if we catch it and we don't treat it, it's going to keep us from fully taking advantage of these wonderful bodies that we currently inhabit and all of the opportunities for learning and growth that are staring us in the face right now. So here's what's got me going. Here's what's got me all riled up. Conversations, emails, letters, and posts written by folks who say that they are just waiting for the rapture, waiting to transition, or waiting for their vibrational level to speed up so they can leave here and get to 5D Earth. Well, when I hear somebody say, I just want to transition, or horror of horrors, I don't want to do anything anymore, I'm just waiting to transition, I got to tell you, I get tears in my eyes. My heart starts to break. I want to grab them. I want to shake them and shake them and shake them until they remember how important they are to the here and now. Important not only to themselves, but important to all of us too, because we need each other to move forward. We are connected. Now, here's an example of what I'm talking about. I was having tea with a friend of mine. She told me words that I just love to hear. She told me she could not wait to transition to 5D Earth. I replied that, well, maybe we will transition, maybe we won't transition during this incarnation. You know, we don't know. Maybe our work is such that we need to complete our lifetime on 3D Earth. Well, you would have thought that I took a knife and just stabbed it into her and turned it around and around, because she was horrified. She was horrified by what I said. And I don't know why I did this, guys, but I did. I added fuel to the fire, and I said, we don't know who's transitioning. We don't know when these transitions are going to happen, and we need to make the most of our time here and now. I really upset my friend with this conversation. She was not happy with me. And she went home and she immediately sent an email detailing everything that I said to her best friend, Fiona. Now, I know Fiona. She's a beautiful, talented human being. She is one of those tireless, bright light types of light workers. But what I said really upset her too. So much so that she sent me an email demanding clarification of everything that I said and letting me know how much she wants to hurry up and transition. Fiona said, "What is so bad? Tell me what is so good. I am here in the boonies, the most dense place ever. That is the source of my frustration while living in this toxic and boring 3D planet and experiencing all the limitations while knowing of all the possibilities beyond the 3D. That is the reason I do not want to be here. The limitation, the veil, the lack of knowledge, and the ignorance of masses. I guess ignorance is bliss, Sherri, because until I was fully aware of the concept of this matrix, I was able to semi-enjoy life, even though I've always felt like a visitor here. I could live a semi-normal life, make money, and collect tons of shoes. Now I have no interest in any of these activities anymore. Nothing makes sense, and I do not know how to go back and get interested again in 3D world at this point. My only motivation lately was a thought and knowing in my heart that there will be ascension, and if that is not going to happen, then I do not see a reason for waking up in the morning." I mean, she was one tired light worker with a serious case of the rapture bug to boot. But she talked about shoes. She mentioned shoes, so I knew that she had a sense of humor. There was still something there. So I asked her, Fiona, do you not realize all the people that you're affecting in a positive manner and all the good that you're doing as 3D Earth continues to evolve? And she answered with, actually I do, and I try my best, talking my mouth dry about raising vibrations and the basics of spirituality to everyone who is willing to listen, while at the same time being ridiculed by many. And everything I do does not seem to be good enough to offset the suffering that is happening all around. I do believe that we all got tricked into coming here, otherwise no intelligent being would agree to do this willingly. There is no love or light here. Okay, maybe some small glimpses. I am in the wrong dimension, and I do not wish to be here no matter how much good work I am doing. Well, that last sentence did get me a little worried, I have to admit. And I know Fiona, this is not like her. Several more emails back and forth, and she wrote this. Sherri, don't worry too much. Only time will tell what will happen. We all have some picture in our heads about how we would like things to turn out, but who knows what is really going to happen. Everything is changing moment by moment. I have been feeling this way for a long time, and I rarely talk about it. I'm glad that I can share my feelings with you. Well, I'm glad, very glad that she shared her feelings with me too, because talking about these kinds of feelings is really key, absolutely key, when it comes to working through this illness and knocking that atrocious little rapture bug off of our shoulders. But you know what? Fiona's not alone in her feelings. She's not alone in her feelings. And what she said about having a certain picture in our heads, that's true. We all have a picture in our heads of the dream world that we want to be part of, the world that we're all working so hard to raise our vibrations and create. And to be perfectly honest with you, I've got to admit, on occasion, I've had the same kinds of feelings pop up that Fiona wrote about. You know, for me, I long to be part of a world where human beings don't eat animals, where animals don't eat other animals, and no one and nothing has to eat another living thing. I want to live someplace where the air is our food. That's my dream world. And as I stand here today in front of hundreds of significant, essential, crucial, and important light workers, I don't think it's a very big reach on my part to say that we all yearn to be someplace where there's no torture, no war, no hunger, no death, and no grief. Am I wrong? No. But you know what, my dear friends? That is not what we signed up for. Not what we signed up for. And while we will all occasionally long to be somewhere else, we cannot afford to give in to these kinds of feelings for very long. 5D Earth. I have read so many descriptions of what it will be like to live on 5D Earth. I've even gotten some information about it from my own guides. I've included it in my own books. I love to read about 5D Earth, don't you? Yes? Okay, I love to read about it, and who among us doesn't want to be 5D? But the truth of the matter is, you're already 5D, you're 5D and beyond. You kindly stepped back to 3D to do the work that's so necessary for humankind to evolve here. I think that the challenge for so many of us is that we remember. We remember on a soul level what 5D is like. And being light workers, we can't help ourselves. We just can't help ourselves. We want to create and live in a better world. A world like what we remember, a world like what we read about, which is fine. That's fine. The thing that has me all riled up, though, the thing that has me going, is that some of us are deciding to let waiting for a better world, waiting for the shift to be complete, or waiting to transition take the place of living in the here and now. And that is something that we simply cannot afford to do. For the simple reason that what we do in the here and now very much affects our evolution. It affects our personal to-do list for this incarnation. It affects our planet, which for the foreseeable future is 3D Earth. If we allow ourselves to give in to the rapture bug, if we stop living our lives to the fullest, if we allow our thoughts to focus on getting out of Dodge, if we make a conscious decision to do nothing but wait to transition to a higher vibration, well then, in my humble opinion, we are committing spiritual suicide. How so? Because we have contracts. We have contracts to be here to do certain things. And by completing our contracts, we're taking care of our own agenda, we're helping others with theirs, while at the same time furthering the evolution of our species. Now, I don't think that I have to remind anybody in this room that we are part of an important and historic mission. But somewhere, somehow, some of us have started to believe that the evolution of the human race to 5D status is the be-all, end-all. We are not here to do a vibrational hit and run and then abandon this dimension. We all came into these bodies with a plan of action. We are all here to have experiences for learning and growth. And when it comes to that learning, when it comes to this learning, we are integral not only to our own learning experiences, but also important to remember, which is why I'm going to repeat this again now, we are intricately connected. We're connected, which means that we also participate in and facilitate learning for our family, our friends, our coworkers, and even strangers that we bump into on the street or in the grocery store. My guides have often talked about how difficult it is for us. They say it's very difficult for light workers because we have so much on our plates. It's harder for us too, I think, because we are awake to our ongoing evolution, and because we are 5D and beyond when we're not on planet Earth. And all of this makes it very easy, I think, for us to be bitten by the rapture bug and while away our days and nights dreaming of better frequencies to come. So, when you start to feel some of the same things that Fiona wrote about, and if we're really honest with ourselves, we all have moments when we feel these things. Let's quickly squash that bug by remembering who we are. And I'm going to tell you who we are. First of all, we are light workers. We signed up to be here on 3D Earth, to learn and grow here, to help humankind evolve here. Giving up on 3D Earth because we long to be part of 5D Earth or because we want to go home, it's not an option for us, not an option. Our job is to make 3D Earth a better place. Whether we have future incarnations here or not, it doesn't matter. This planet is counting on us. We are counting on each other. And secondly, and maybe this should have been first, we are warriors. We are warriors on the front line of an amazing evolution. You know, many who wanted to be here physically, to be part of this amazing time in history, they couldn't get a body, not enough bodies to go around. We have bodies, so we who are here now, we owe it to ourselves and to those who couldn't be here with us to take advantage of the opportunities for learning and growth that are in front of us right now. The bottom line point of my talk today, if you haven't figured it out by now, is that living in the here and now is the most important thing that light workers can do. Most important thing that we can do. And because I love lists, and those of you who've heard me speak before know this, I love lists, I have brought a list of 6 things that we can do to keep ourselves focused on and firmly living in the here and now. Number 1 on the list, one of the best ways to stay focused is to hang out with positive people. People who are determined to make the most of each and every day. People who would not even dare dream of setting foot on Poor Me Avenue. Friends who, should the rapture bug land on your shoulder, will knock it right off for you before it becomes a permanent chip, compromising your spiritual growth and your evolutionary mission. My day job is Director of Specialty Sales for a large vacation resort in Orlando, Florida. The number one reason that our sales reps fall into slumps is because they neg each other out. One rep is having a bad day, a bad week, a bad month. He starts just infecting the rest of the sales floor with his negative attitude and his negative comments. Just one negative rep can pull a dozen or more sales reps right down into the tar pit with him in less than an hour and just ruin sales for the entire day. Negative vibrations are insidious. They're insidious. And while I have absolutely no scientific basis for this, I swear they multiply faster than positive vibrations do. So here's my advice to you. Hang out with positive people, and when Debbie Downer tries to sit down next to you, just get up and walk away. Number 2 on the list. Another way to stay in the moment and to be present is to really focus on what you're doing. And when I was in college, I took a class called Meditation East and West, and we studied the great Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh. Has anyone ever heard of him? Yeah? Okay. Now, he was a pioneer in the development of Western Buddhism, and especially in the development of Western meditation. And one of the things that he brought to us here in the West is the practice of mindfulness. Now, in Buddhist meditation practices, mindfulness, which very interestingly also translates as awareness, is considered to be of great importance on the path to enlightenment. Now, mindfulness, to me, is a very difficult thing to define. It's very hard to put into words, but basically establishing mindfulness in one's day-to-day life means maintaining a calm awareness of one's body, feelings, thoughts, and perceptions. In other words, being present in the moment and doing so by paying attention to our senses. Now, I remember in the textbook that we used in class, it was called The Miracle of Mindfulness. The Miracle of Mindfulness said that we should practice mindfulness in all things, including when we're washing the dishes and scrubbing the floor. Well, I thought that was one of the most hysterical things that I had ever read. I mean, really, who wants to scrub a floor? Certainly not me. And I remember just laughing when I read that. I did not buy into mindfulness right away. Now, several years later, the light bulb finally went off. I went back, I reread the book from a completely different perspective. And today, I am so excited because I am going to share with you what took me years to figure out, the secret to bringing mindfulness to everyday chores like washing dishes. Are you guys ready for this secret? Okay, it has 3 steps. First, view the chore as a positive event. View the chore as a positive event and make it an exercise in stress relief. Second, as you do the chore, focus on what you're doing as you're doing it. Focus on what you're doing as you're doing it and on nothing else. And third, and this is the most important part, feel the warm, soapy water on your hands as you wash those dishes. Experience the vibrations of the vacuum cleaner as you do that area of the carpet. Revel in the warmth of the laundry as you fold it. Feel the freedom of letting go of unneeded objects as you put them in the box for the Salvation Army. Practicing mindfulness can be a little bit sexy. It could be. Step 3, use your senses to be in the moment. And there you have it. That's the secret to bringing mindfulness to everyday chores. And while we still might not ever volunteer to wash the dishes or scrub the floor, if we get stuck doing those things, at the very least we can turn the experience into an opportunity for spiritual growth, right? Number 3 on the list. Another way to be in the moment is, of course, to smile. And Thich Nhat Hanh said, sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. Now, we all know that smiling creates endorphins in our bodies, right? It makes us feel happy. And the really, really good news is that when we smile at someone, we're not only focusing our attention and our awareness on that person, but we're also doing something to elevate our own mood too. So to help us take smiling to the next level, I've got some smiling tips for us. First of all, smile with your eyes as well as your mouth, and you'll really feel the joy. Smile when you wake up in the morning, and you'll set a tone for appreciation and awareness that will last all day long. Smile and be mindful of how it makes you feel. Smile and be mindful of the reaction of the person that you just smiled at. Smiling is an action that costs us nothing. Nothing, but it helps us focus, it helps us become more aware of our feelings, it helps us increase our vibrations all at the same time. What a deal! What a deal the smiling is when it comes to spiritual growth. Number 4 on the list. Another thing that we can do to be present and live in the moment is to practice random acts of kindness. Now, in raising our vibrations for the new age, my guide Gilbert said the following. He said, practice random acts of kindness. Doing so will create an immense outpouring of positive energy into the atmosphere. During a random act of kindness, no one is thinking about the past or the future. They are having an exchange that is firmly in the present and has their attention focused on the present. This is a great thing because so many have a hard time living in the moment, living in the present. With an act of kindness, you are a lighthouse emanating positive energy. You create a positive energy field around yourself and the person you're in contact with. This positive energy continues to emanate around you both and positively affects others that you each come into contact with, creating a domino effect. Random acts of kindness, seeing things that need to be done to help people, to help animals, to help the planet, and then acting on what you perceive is a dynamic way to increase vibrational levels. Now, what can I really add to Gilbert's words here, except to say that this is just another one of those wonderful, wonderful things that packs a double vibrational punch because it helps us stay in the moment while it allows us to raise our vibrations at the very same time. Number 5 on the list. Next on the list is take care of Mother Earth. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that we've established here today that we are living where? 3D Earth? Yes? Okay, we're on 3D Earth, and something to remember is that 3D Earth is not a garbage can, not a garbage can. Cleaning up after ourselves and cleaning up after others, if that's what we have to do to keep our planet clean, then that is what we need to do. As we pick up litter, as we recycle, we can focus on what we're doing, we can be mindful of what we're doing as we're doing it, and we can also be mindful of the effect that it's having. For instance, how it makes us feel to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. What is that I'm seeing? I'm getting some of these, what you talking about, Willis looks from a couple of people over here. Did nobody tell you that part of your job description as a light worker is to pick up garbage? Really? You did not read the fine print in your contracts. Seriously though, guys, if you see it, pick it up. And here's why. It will keep you firmly in the here and now. It will raise your vibrations and it will help the planet at the very same time. And now, let's talk about the most important thing that we can do to stay focused and be in the moment. Anybody have any idea what that might be? No? Pay attention to our thoughts and our words. To say the right, so you knew that, right? You knew that. To do that, in order for us to do that, to say the right thing at the right time, we have to be focused. We have to be present in the moment. And when we focus on our thoughts and words, we avoid creating the negative energy that would have been created by saying the wrong thing or by saying the right thing in a snarky way, right? People do that. And remember this too, can create positive energy simply by saying nice things to each other if we're sincere about those things that we're saying. And I've got a couple of words for you on this subject from Gilbert. Gilbert says, it is important to reiterate that thoughts are things and will manifest much more quickly now than ever before. Imagine vibrating at 5D energy and thinking violent thoughts. In 5D, thoughts and words become reality almost instantaneously. So train yourselves now to govern your words and thoughts so that you can actively contribute to making your 3D home a better place to live. You know, as I was working on this talk, I noticed an interesting trend, and I wonder if you guys have noticed it too. The things that help us raise our vibrations are also the very same things that help us stay in the moment. Interesting, isn't it? Well, I know that you guys are hungry, right? You're ready for a break. So I'm going to wrap up my talk by passing on to you a little bit of guidely advice that my guide Gilbert gave to me. Gilbert said, "Sherri, it takes courage and determination to make changes in one's life. Taking action is always more difficult than standing still and waiting for things to happen." Now, I am not a psychic, but I know this. I am absolutely sure that every single one of us in this room has the courage, the determination, and the guts necessary to be present, to live in the moment, and to take charge of our words. We are light workers. We are light workers, yes? And together we can make 3D Earth a better place to live as we simultaneously work on our spiritual to-do list and raise our vibrations. And I'm going to leave you guys now with just a quick commercial. In my workshop on Monday, we're going to have 3 segments to help us expedite our spiritual growth while living in the here and now. In the first segment, we're going to take an in-depth look at karma, windows of opportunity, and relationship villains. In the second segment, we're going to work on direct communication with spirit. And in the third segment, we're going to work on raising our vibrations through chakra balancing. We're going to do a couple of guided meditations. We're going to balance our chakras. We're going to do a little automatic writing. And I hope that you will bring your fabulous energy and vibrations to my workshop. And I thank you so much for being here this afternoon. Namaste. Thank you.
I just want to add to comment about smiling. Since I work with a lot of singers and teach them technique and everything, one of the most wonderful things everybody has at their command that is, especially for the ladies, that is cheaper, painless, and doesn't cost a thing is 10 years off your face by smiling.
10 years
Just
off.
smile, you know, and you know you look much better.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Joe.
Often people will take these 3 things that you told us, 6 things, and then they will negate them after they experience them.
They'll negate them after they experience?
They'll negate what they just did. They'll say something negative about it. So they'll take away the sense of positive feeling. And sometimes when people do this, you may give them a compliment and they'll think it, and then you walk away and they'll think something negative about it. They'll turn it around so they will stay depressed. And it's usually triggered by some kind of loss. But when people decide that they don't want to be depressed, then they can use what you've said, or they can use some of their storehouse of positive thoughts and tap into that bank and repeat those thoughts and feelings, and keep themselves up. So people are really in charge of how they feel. So if you're just depressed all the time, you're really the one that's in charge of that, because there are ways out of it. And you have to decide, is this how I want to live my life, or do I want to have a better life? Because nobody else is going to be able to do it for you. You have to do it.
John, right? You are so right, and you are making me smile right now, because we all have responsibility for ourselves. We're in charge of our own lives. Other people can't make us happy, and John is so right. You know, we can smile at someone and we can say something nice to someone, and maybe right at that moment it doesn't seem to perk them up or cheer them up, but that's something that they can draw on later on down the line. They will remember it, and you are transferring positive energy. So even though somebody might not respond to your great big smile, that's okay. Keep smiling anyway, because you are having an effect on everybody that you see. That is such a great thing to say. Thank you so much for that.
Right here. So,
thank you. I can't see anything with the lights.
I had a question for you, and I also just had a comment. When you were talking about the one negative person on the sales floor that it kind of infects everybody else with the negativity.
Yes.
Do you think that that's merely by habit, that everyone has this knee-jerk reaction that pulls them into that, rather than the negativity being a stronger thing? It's just that knee-jerk reaction of habit?
I think that misery loves company.
Yeah, okay. And the other thing I wanted to say, I if you don't mind, I wanted to add to your list.
Please do.
Maybe in the smile category?
Yeah, absolutely.
Laugh more.
Laugh more. That's great.
Laugh.
Yes. Absolutely. Laughing, it's just a well of positive vibrations. That's so important. Okay, not 6. We now have 7. 7 things. Okay. Thank you so much for that.
You talked about that we have to walk away from the negative persons.
Yes.
But what can you do when you are living in the same house?
I do that every day of my life. Is this being filmed still? I hope not. Okay. You know, my husband, he's a Doug Downer in a lot of ways, because even when things are going his way, he looks for the negative part of it. And sometimes I just want to go, what's going on here? All you can do is just smile and work through it and hope that your positive attitude is eventually, like John said, going to affect him. Sooner or later, they're going to come out of it, but that's a difficult thing. I think that is called living with the relationship villain and learning lessons.
Especially your parents, maybe.
Oh, parents. Yeah, absolutely. Talk with them, try and get them to see the positive, but if they don't see it, that's okay. You keep on being positive, because you're a lighthouse and you're affecting everybody that you come into contact with. I mean, look at the energy that you're spitting out right now.
Thank you.
Amazing.
I wanted to add a couple of comments on this negative energy thing.
Great.
First of all, I'd like all of it to understand the concept that every kind of energy is contagious. It's not just viruses or germs that are contagious. Energy is continuously being exchanged between us, between people in a proximity, between people who think about people, between our intentions and what we speak, but also with the world, with plants, with places, okay? So understand that we're doing this. We're trading particles of light and particles of matter energetically. Number 2, there is a little trick that I, as a therapist, have used with people. And I wanted to share it because it's fun, and a lot of times it really works. Instead of trying to bring in the positive to somebody that's being very negative, and basically you're going to get into a power struggle with them, and they're going to drag you down, awfulize. Have you ever heard of awfulizing? If they're saying, oh, there's 3 clouds in the sky, it's probably going to rain in 2 hours, you're going to say, oh, over there, you didn't see those clouds, they're actually 7. And it's probably going to be storming for days.
I didn't know that's what you called it. I do practice that on my husband. Now I have a word for it. Thank you. That was great. Awfulize. That's what we do. When we go home, we awfulize. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you.